Alright, here we're starting, just like we did yesterday, solving by graphing. Today we're going to solve by doing something called substitution. So we start off, if I have x is equal to 3, and I want to substitute into the equation, all I would do is plug in a 3 where my x is. So plug in a 3 and then do 4 times 3 plus 5, which gives me 17. So what we're going to be doing today is taking things more complex than x equals 3. So it'd be like x equals 2y plus 6 or something like that, and then substituting that in for my x. So the first thing that we're going to do is to solve one of the equations for one of its variables. It doesn't matter which equation, and it doesn't matter what variable you solve for. When we graph, we always wanted to get y by itself, but here it doesn't matter. I could get x or y by itself. So after I solve one of the equations, then I'm going to substitute it into the expression. So I'm going to take what I had in the first step and then plug it into the other equation for whatever variable that I got by itself. Once I do that, then I'll have I'll only have one variable left, either x's or y's. And so then I'll go ahead and solve for that variable. After I solve for one of the variables, the number in this, I'll substitute that number into the thing that I did in the first step. And then I'll be able to find what the other variable is equal to. Then the last thing is always to double check our work to make sure we're doing it right. So, in doing this first example together, actually I'm going to do the second example, it's a little tougher. So, in this second example over here, I've got 2x plus 2y equals 3, and then x minus 4y is equal to -1. So what I want to do is I want to, first thing, like we said before, is get one of the variables by itself. The easiest way to do this is to get the x by itself in the second equation. So to do that, I'll add 4y to both sides. And so you have x equals -1 plus 4y. If I solved for any of the other variables, I'd have to move the other variable to the other side and divide. And that's doing 2 steps, and that's doing too much. So this bottom equation, I solve for x, I just have to move the 4y to the other side. I should probably always pick the variable that doesn't have a coefficient in front of it. So I solve this. I'm going to put parentheses around that because I'm going to end up having to distribute here, and so I want to make sure that I have parentheses around there. And then what I'm going to do is I solve the bottom one, so I'm going to plug this into the top one, and since I solved for x, I'm going to plug it in for x of the top equation. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times parentheses -1 plus 4y plus 2y equals 3. Again, I'm just taking what x is equal to and plugging in 4x in the other equation. So from here, I'm going to distribute, so I get -2 plus 8y plus 2y equals 3. Make sure we're multiplying when we distribute and we're not adding. Combine your like terms together, so you get 10y here. So -2 plus 10y is equal to 3. Add 2 to both sides, and then divide by 10. So y is equal to 1/2. Once I find one variable, I always want to find what the other variable is. So I'm going to plug this into this that I first solved. So I plug in a 1/2 for y, so 4 times 1/2 gives me 2. 2 plus -1 gives me 1, so x equals 1. I always want to write my final answer as an ordered pair, so it'll be the ordered pair 1 and then 1/2. And I can double check myself to make sure I'm right by plugging a 1 in for x and a 1/2 in for y in both those equations, and I find out that I'm right. Here, this is kind of a different problem because I have a word problem in which I'm going to have two equations that are not related to each other. They're not as easy as we've done before. So here I'm selling tickets for high school play. Students' tickets cost $4, adults cost $6. You sell 525 tickets and collect $2,876. I'm going to find out how many of each type of ticket did we sell. So the first thing I want to assign variables. Student tickets is going to be X. Adult tickets is going to be Y. I'm going to have one equation equal to the 525 tickets that I sold. And the other one I'm going to have it equal to $2,876 that I made. For the one here on the left with 525 tickets, since X is student tickets and Y is adult tickets, I just do X plus Y. I add together the kids' tickets and the adult tickets to get how many tickets I sold overall. And then on the right, I have to talk about how much each ticket costs. So I do 4X plus 6Y is equal to 2,876. So when you do the homework tonight, what we could do then from here is we could solve these by substitution. I'm not going to ask you to do that for homework tonight. What you're going to do instead is... there's the homework slide. There you go. For the first two, you're going to solve. And for number 44, you're just going to write equations.